Longtime GOP strategist and partner in the international strategic consulting firm of Davis, Manafort, Stone, Inc., Mr. Roger Stone. It's all yours, Morley.
Thank you. What Somerset Maugham said of the literary life can certainly be applied to politics this year. He said, "Make people laugh and they think you're a trivial fellow. But bore them in the right way, and your reputation is assured." And I think we can properly describe Mr. Clinton and Mr. Dole as properly boring. Neither is certainly very funny, at least not on purpose. Why on earth would you invite Don Imus if you want gentility?
But you know, the bottom line is Don Imus wasn't very funny. He was mean.
I disagree. He was funny.
I didn't think he was very funny. I thought he was. Some of his stuff was funny, but in aggregate, he wasn't that funny.
You were there?
Yeah.
Were you there? I was there. Who else was there? I was there.
Well, they wanted Mark Russell. They wanted cheeky. They didn't want insulting. They got Don Rickles on acid.
No, but you don't get... I'd like to ask you something.
Because most guys like jokes about their first one. My experience.
God knows I'm still paying for mine.
Mr. Stone, you had to, I shouldn't say defend, you worked for perhaps the softest target this country's ever had in politics, Dan Quayle, correct?
I supported Dan Quayle, that's true.
How difficult was it for you and for him?
Well, we had a lot of trouble because he thought Roe v. Wade were two different ways to get across the river. I mean, it was really...
What are you saying? He's stupid?
I'm not saying anything.
That sounds like what a stupid guy would say.
I think he took it, frankly, pretty good-natured. But you'll notice that he passed up this race for president in 1996. So there's just so much abuse that one human being can take.
Was he the buffoon that these guys made?
Not in the slightest. I mean, he was, that's a spit take is what that's called, actually. It's very old. No, look, this guy was a respected United States senator, perhaps cast into the spotlight by George Bush a little earlier in his career than had been expected, but well-liked and well-respected in this town, and he was not the caricature of him that was created. Well,
for example, the New Hampshire primary campaign. I mean, they were out there just being silly. Chopping wood.
That's because if our candidates stand in one place and read position papers, you guys don't cover them. But when they go out to chop wood, you'll be there with the camera, no doubt about it.
That's a very good point.
Abe Lincoln chopped wood.
What's a good point?
What he just said, because you won't cover it because the media doesn't cover reading a position paper, but they cover a photo opportunity.
I mean, I think it was Nixon who said the only thing worse in politics than being wrong is being boring. If you bore the voters with long white papers and detailed positions on the issues, you guys won't come cover the candidates.
If you break a few laws.
But if you break a few laws...
Oh man, it gets exciting.
That's the nice thing about this whole Whitewater thing. We can recycle all those slogans. I saw a jail to the chief bumper sticker yesterday. And it was new.
You've been described as the keeper of the Nixon flame.
Indeed.
Are you fairly chilly these days?
Well, there's a certain sense of deja vu, but remember, no person is above the law.
Roger's got a knack.
Yeah.
I know that. Roger
may need it.
If the president's down in dignity, do the presidents not willingly, happily step down in dignity themselves?
Well, if they're Gerald Ford, they trip down. But I agree what he says. I mean, Clinton going on TV talking about his underwear really makes him a target. He invites it. He then invites the ridicule.
He's a man. He said that liberals go to therapists that are atheists, and that our therapists tell us to live with our depravity, because that's all we have. Is that true? Yeah, well, it is true. Yeah.
I bet they were rolling in the aisles on that.
Are there any liberals here who have accepted your depravity? How about any liberals here who are traitors? Or Democrats who are traitors? That's a funny thing he calls.
They won't admit it, though.
Yeah. How about decay? A lot of decayed liberals here. I mean, this is all funny material of the speakers.
And people say, oh, well, Bill Clinton went on Don Imus in 1992. And Don Imus helped Bill Clinton win the New York primary, and there's some truth to that. And he helped Don Imus become a national, not just a New York celebrity, and he helped this show become syndicated. And then the monster that he created came back and bit him.
I have a problem with this idea that the monster he created. Clinton goes on Arsenio Hall and plays the saxophone. 1961, Richard Nixon went on Jack Parr and played the piano. Right. This is not new.
Do all politicians lie?
Yes.
No.
No, do all politicians lie?
Oh,
Does Bill Clinton lie?
Are you insane? Of course. You can't get elected without
Let's just say most of them lie.
You cannot
you can always tell when they're lying because their lips are moving.
Or sweating.
Above the lips.
Yeah. You cannot get elected without lying. So they have to lie to get elected. You can't tell them what we really have to do.
Well, the truth is often transitional in the politician's mind. In other words, I'm not going to run for another term, and then maybe I'll change my mind later. What happens is that I think a lot of these politicians run for office with good intentions, but when they get there, they find it's not as easy as it looked from the outside, that they can't really accomplish what they wanted to because it is institutionally not as simple as it looks.
It suggests that these poor creatures are the most naive people in this country.
Do you think when George Bush said, read my lips, no new taxes, that he knew at that moment that as soon as he's elected president, he would raise taxes?
No, he liked the sound of it.
Right. And the opposite...
Correct?
No, I think he believed it when he said it.
Who lies more, Republicans or Democrats?
What about the gays who think Lincoln is gay? Do you know about that? The log cabin Republicans. Are you associated with them? I find that to be an amazing thing.
Republicans lie more.
Didi?
I agree with Al.
Tony?
Democrats, actually.
There's no difference. It's a draw.
The entire Democratic Party's a lie.
No.
Well, let's see. Roosevelt said, we're not going to be sending your boys off to any foreign wars.
Watch out, this is where Bob...
Oh, right. And after Pearl Harbor, he should have abided by that. That would have been smarter. To go, you know what? I don't want to go back on my word. The Martians have landed, but I'm not going to send your boys off.
We now know, of course, that he knew about the attack on Pearl Harbor before it came. But that's, I think it'd be good for 60 Minutes, perhaps, to look into that.
Has political correctness seriously damaged political satire, political...
To me, it's always just been about telling it truthfully. The reason I'm against political correctness is because it gives liberals a bad name. And liberals can't afford a bad name.
Everybody is trying to be politically correct. Pat Buchanan says, there's no room in my campaign for racists or anti-Semites. Of course not. Those positions were filled months ago.
I'm going to write some of these down, Tony. I'm at Rascals tomorrow night, and I'm going to use some of these at the Comedy Cave in Cleveland.
Hillary. Well, I really like Hillary, so, and this is... It's probably a good example of why a comedian shouldn't get to know people in public life, because she is very different in person from the caricature of her, and part of the reason I really like her is that she laughs a lot. And most comedians like anyone who laughs at their jokes.
Yeah, Clinton.
But tell me, what are the jokes that she laughs at, though?
Oh, she loves whitewater jokes. Just loves it. Nothing. No one laughs harder than Hillary at a good Susan Thomas's joke.
I was very impressed when I met Clinton. I met him at President Nixon's funeral. I really liked him. Then he tried to pick up my wife.
In my book, I had two scenarios for a Spectre victory. One was a plane crash.
And the second one, he takes Anita Hill as his running mate.
Well, no, but it was a bus crash, but it played out. It was Dole. It was a whole, everyone crashing on.
What's it like, though, seriously, working for a candidate who you know does not have a chance?
Well, there are cause candidates who run to make a point. Eugene McCarthy against the war in Vietnam, Arlen Specter on the issue of choice. who run for some more noble purpose than just winning the office. And actually, those kind of campaigns are fun because you're not gambling the White House. You're just out there trying to make an ideological point.
You're playing with the House money.
Sort of.
Well, they're all playing with the House money, correct?
Who did better, McCarthy or Specter?
Well, neither one of them got to be president.
I think we have to wrap at this point. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
This discussion will re-air at 7:50 a.m. Eastern Time on our